Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. I am Dr. Haitham Adarbe. I'm program leader at Center for Training and Community Relation. We in the center regularly conduct webinars that are designed to be both fun and informative. They deal with highly topical subjects, in education or in new technologies like today's webinar. First, I would like to introduce today's presenters briefly, and they will introduce themselves when they speak. Dr. Ayan, he's a world-class expert in the metaverse. Prof. Mark, he's our MBA lecturers, as well as he's leading the CIM Chartered Institute of Marketing at the college, as well as the professional courses with us in the center. Bernie Scott is the head of international recruitment and BCS Chartered Institute for IT. We would love to hear from you in the QA sessions if you have any questions. A recorded version of this webinar will be available with the participation certificate. Okay, now let's start with the Prof. Mark. Prof. Mark, mic is yours.
Okay, I'm Professor of Digital Marketing. I've got 2 degrees in economics and a PhD in digital marketing. I've been in the university system teaching since 1986. I've taught around about 45,000 students. Tend to specialize in executive MBA, Chartered Institute of Marketing type courses, and I work with Gulf College. Do you want me to start there, or does everybody else going to introduce themselves? Okay,
go ahead. I'll introduce myself when I talk.
Okay, right. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about really the sort of next generation of the internet. And this slide that I put up here really starts to encapsulate how the world has completely and utterly been changed by the internet. Now, if we go right back to the start, we were really dealing with content. Round about 1993, where Tim Berners-Lee gifted to the world the internet, this was an amazing present. We didn't really understand quite where it would start to take us. But with the development of technology, with the development of communication and new ideas around the internet, we started to move forward. Now, this is a pictorial representation of some of the developments. The years aren't actually that accurate, but we start off with the web of content, when really the internet was more of a sort of a page turner. It was sort of one way. We could send texts and pictures and mail and stuff of that sort of nature. When we started to go into the next level, which is the web of communications, then we started to see two-way communications. This revolutionized marketing completely, from being one-way communication, traditional things like newspapers, TV, and whatever. Now we could have a two-way conversation. We then go into the third level, which is the web of context, where we're starting to see things like the semantic web. We're starting to see the development of artificial intelligence. We're now starting to move into the web of things and the web of thought. And it's these last two levels that we're going to be really looking in detail at today. With the sort of ideas and content with this new thing called the metaverse. And the best way to think about the metaverse is a digital twin. So the way that it's been marketed at the moment, we think of it more like a sort of a 3D immersive games type environment. But that's really only part of it. We are very, very fortunate today to have a world expert with Ian Hughes, who's been working on the metaverse, who will tell you an awful lot more about how it's actually being used in practice. So these are some of the stages of development, and there will be more stages of development as we move forward. But this has revolutionized our lives. So social media now, for a lot of people, they're spending 2 or 3 hours a day. Some people even go to bed with their mobile phone underneath their pillow. They can't be away from it. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so what is the metaverse? The metaverse is really, it's a really hot topic. It's a hot discussion, especially when Mark Zuckerberg changed the name of his company from Facebook to Meta Platforms, or Meta for short. That happened on Thursday, October the 28th, 2021, from Facebook. He realized that the new form of the way that we interact with the internet is going to be the metaverse. But what's the history? What's the advantages? What's the disadvantage of this current booming idea of the metaverse? Well, the metaverse is a digital reality. It combines aspects of social media, gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, and cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Now, in the webinar that we're going to have in about 2 months' time, we're going to look at cryptocurrencies. So if you're interested in that, I can just tell you that the date of that is going to be 31st of August, but more information of that to come later. So it will allow users to interact virtually as in a digital twin, which is in the title of this webinar. You can enjoy various metaverse features such as watching music virtually, even working in the metaverse. You can even buy land or buildings in the metaverse to make your own business. So this is going to be something completely new. If you can imagine before social media came on the scene, on what an enormous impact social media had, the metaverse is going to do exactly the same, but probably more. One person said to me, the metaverse is going to be like social media on steroids. This makes the metaverse interesting and unique to play with. It can even be a job for you and make you virtual money. It's possible some days there will be a metaverse university to study with friends virtually. So you're going to have all different sorts of things available. If we look in terms of the university, you will be able to have virtual experiences being in the classroom, but if you needed to go and visit a factory to see something, you could do that virtually. You wouldn't have to physically go there. You could go within the metaverse. It's going to have massive advantages in the medical industry where you can practice things. Doesn't matter if you kill the patient in the virtual metaverse, you can practice and you can you can perfect your techniques. Next slide. Okay, so history of the metaverse. The term metaverse was coined by Neil Stephenson, cyberpunk novelist in Snow Crash. This was published in 1992. In Snow Crash, metaverse itself is a virtual world that can be visited using virtual reality devices at that time. Since then, there has been countless companies interested in developing the metaverse. Many companies are starting to really focus on the implementation of the metaverse and using some very innovative ideas and techniques to give people unique experiences. 2 examples, Qverse, this is Qatar Airlines use of the metaverse, where you can virtually In virtual reality, go and visit what the plane's going to be like, what the experience is going to be like, but you do that from your phone or from your computer. The other major one is Nikeland, and I've written a little case study, which we're not going to go through today, but it will be up on the webinar for you to have a look at. This was launched about 6 months ago, and it has been very, very popular. Gartner research expects that by 2026, that's not very far away, 25% of people will be spending at least an hour a day on the metaverse for work, shopping, education, social media, and or entertainment. This means the metaverse is going to be big, really big. And my advice is to anybody, if you're in this sort of area, you need to know what it is, what its advantages, what its disadvantages, and how to use it. Next slide, please. Okay, now there are different layers to the metaverse. The metaverse has many unique layers which utilize current technology and software to provide unique experiences which could mirror things in the real world or could be completely unique. So there are 7 different layers to this. There's the infrastructure and current technology, 5G, Wi-Fi, even 6G. Samsung are working on 6G at the moment. Cloud technology. There's a lot of the elements around mobile technology, smart glasses. Haptics are things that you can wear that give you unique experiences like gloves and vests and things of that sort of nature. We've got advances in software, particularly artificial intelligence and the use of blockchain. It's highly likely in the metaverse there will be a virtual currency like a cryptocurrency, whether it'll be Bitcoin or something else remains to be seen. 3D engines allowing you to do geospatial mapping, design tools, workflow, and commerce. You'll be able to have a digital factory, which is a twin to what you've got in the real world, and you could experiment on that. There's going to be all the stuff around ads, just like social media has got at the moment. And then, of course, there's going to be games, there's going to be social, there's going to be esports, theatre, shopping, all those different sort of things. These make up some of the layers of the metaverse. If we go to next slide. So these are some of the elements. This is really what I've spoken about already, but this is in a pictorial format of how all these things start to link together. And you really need to understand all of these elements, but you may be able to specialize in 1 or 2 of them, particularly in your future career, because there's going to be lots and lots of jobs available in this sort of area. So this is how some of the elements of the metaverse all link together. We go to the next slide. Okay, so what are some of the companies at the leading edge of this? Obviously, Facebook, or Meta as it's been renamed, is spending billions on developing platforms and different experiences so people can start to get a taste of what the metaverse is really about. There's a lot of developments by Google. Google are developing Google Glass products. They're also preparing to launch a Google version of the metaverse, with more and more big companies developing alongside Google. Microsoft are also massive in the metaverse. They're starting to develop things like Mesh for Teams. With COVID, we all moved on to Teams and Zoom, but the metaverse, you'd have your own avatar and you can actually meet people in virtual reality. But that in itself starts to cause other issues and problems around privacy, around security, who owns the data. Next slide, please. Okay, so look at just some of the advantages and disadvantages. Business opportunities, particularly in marketing, are going to be massive, just as social media was. There's going to be lots of new ways to interact with customers. The metaverse is going to be massive in education, particularly in terms of medicine and university and learning. But you've got to make sure that you understand some of these elements, because what the metaverse will start to develop is using all 5 senses, like smell, like touch, like taste, and hearing. Next slide, please. Now, what will you be able to do on the metaverse? Well, obviously, you'll be able to purchase things, try clothes on. You will be able to buy digital land, participate in virtual social experiences. You'll be able to buy digital art. You'll be able to go into virtual classrooms. And you'll be able to interact with digital humans for onboard employees, customer services, sales, and other business interaction. Next slide, please. Now, this is the last slide that I'll do on here, and then we'll go to Ian. Get ready to feel real pain in the metaverse. A Japanese company called H2L Technologies is working on creating real-life experiences that involve discomfort and pain for people in the metaverse. The company's electric wristband allows users to move around in virtual world and feel sensation like pain and the weight of objects. Now we're going to start to use all senses, not just sight and hearing as we do at the moment. So we're going to see these haptic type products that will give you the experience of being able to pick something up and feel its weight. Users who already get amazing 3D optics and spatial audio in the form of immersion will find themselves even more immersed using haptic gloves, vests, and other tool sets for their metaverse journey. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pass on to Ian, and he's going to go through some of the real type things that are happening at the moment.
Thank you very much. Follow that then, pain in the metaverse. That's so thank you very much everyone for having me here and for attending this webinar. So my name's Ian Hughes. I'm a senior research analyst. I currently work at 451 Research, which is part of S&P Global, we're a bit like Gartner. I would say they're competitors. So I'm not going to quote any Gartner numbers, but I have been in the industry for quite a long while. I'm speaking here in a personal capacity though, rather than for my company, but I'm also chair of the BCS Animation and Games Specialist Group, because despite the fact that I'm a software engineer and I've worked in lots of enterprise things and I know I'm an industry analyst, I've always been trying to help people understand how to use game technology for things other than games, as well as games. Games are really good. And quite often you'll find people, when you start talking about IT or tech, glaze over a little bit when they hear anything with the game word in, because apparently that's not always proper computing. But ignore that, because it's a $200 billion industry. But we're not here to talk about the $200 billion industry. But if you want to get into tech, there's plenty of tech in games. There's the same tech that's in banking. So, and the metaverse is actually part of the crossover of that. And as Prof. Mark said, the metaverse isn't really here yet, but lots of elements of it have been spoken about and used for many years. So in 2006, I was IBM's metaverse evangelist, and that's 2006. That's quite a long while ago. And amongst other things, we were taking real physical experiences and putting them into virtual environments so that they could be shared amongst many people at the same time. So, and that in that case, and it's particularly timely at the moment, that was the Wimbledon Tennis Championship. So in 2006, we were taking things like the trajectory of a ball that's normally replayed on Hawkeye now, as when you see the line calls, but putting that into a virtual environment that happened to be Second Life at the time, and then multiple people can log in as avatars and experience that together. And one of the key elements to remember in all the metaverse stuff, whatever the fancy marketing things, the fancy ad stuff is, all that, this is about us as people being able to communicate with one another, but also to be able to understand other forms of data in a better way. Now, tennis is one thing, but I'll explain some of the other stuff that's going on, particularly in the more serious side of industrial use of technology. And bear in mind that whatever we're doing at the moment, we're sat here, we're on webcams, we're trying to communicate with one another. I can't see you as an audience. You can see me talk and wave my arms around, but you're not seeing all of me. So whatever we're doing at the moment, the technology is filtering out who we are in our communications. And we want to get to a point, and we will get to a point, because that's human nature, where we can see, feel, hear, smell, touch, just experience things in a closer to real life situation. And that's kind of where the whole reason behind anything to do with the metaverse. And so we've got digital twin in the title of this, and digital twin really is a thing to grasp onto as to what's going on in industry. And that has come out of the change to the physical world, where we're starting to instrument the physical world in a richer way. Now, this is called Internet of Things, it's called IoT. There's a branch of that called industrial IoT. It's all the same thing, but IoT isn't just fitness trackers and isn't just fridges reordering new milk for you. It is about being able to take things that we ordinarily couldn't instrument, finding out what's happening with them, and getting some data from them and doing something with that data. Now, the prime example of that is on a manufacturing line. So manufacturing, sort of, a third of GDP or whatever, 2/3 of GDP in manufacturing. Knowing what is going on a production line is incredibly difficult. And machines have always had dials on and bells and whistles and things like that. And people have to go around and look at each of those dials and note them down on a clipboard or something. Not the most efficient way to go when you've got some fancy technology, as we have, with lots of communication technology, lots of way to process data. So the past 5 or 6 years, things have started, not everyone's doing it, but things have started to be instrumented more on a production line. That's the things going in, the things coming out, the things on the line, the machines on the line, the cogs in a machine on the line, the bearings, everything can potentially be instrumented. That generates a huge amount of data. So this is a big data problem. A huge amount of data in real time that has to be processed somewhere to do something with it. There's no point measuring this stuff for no reason. And so that led to manufacturing using a lot more things around in the AI space. So there's a lot more data science in manufacturing than you might expect. The same sort of data science that you'll use for understanding social movements or understanding media use or any of those things, it's all being applied to physical processes. And something called predictive maintenance is a big AI and ML application that is taking all this stream of information, all this data across an entire line or across an entire factory, and trying to work out where anomalies are, where things are going slightly wrong, or where they're about to go wrong. And predictive maintenance will then say, you probably should fix this machine now, because otherwise you're going to have 12 hours downtime. So stitching time saves 9, go fix this, and then you can be productive for longer. So this huge data and all this AI is there to make sure this manufacturing runs as smoothly as possible. Well, that data has to kind of exist somewhere. I mean, you can just feed it in real time into the AI, or you can process it at the edge close to the machine. But out of that has formed the notion of having a digital twin of the factory. And that's saying at any point in time, what is all this data? What is the status of it, and what's going on? And that's a conceptual digital twin. That's or a data conceptually a data digital twin. Once you've got that information, if you say, well, machine number 3, part 72 is about to break, who knows where that is or what that is? So digital twin is now fusing the real-time data coming from the shop floor into typically a 3D model of the actual place and things, right down to an engineering model, right down to the most intricate piece of mechanics in a machine. So it's not just a photo with some sensors sort of stuck on it, but it's actually the factory. So now if you can imagine, you have an entire digital twin of a fully functional factory telling you exactly what is happening in as close to real time as possible at any point 24/7. And that has to live somewhere. Where does that live? What is that? And notionally, it's an object that lives in the metaverse. And the metaverse could be all kinds of things. Lots of people are trying to make their own metaverse, but we talk about the metaverse as one thing. There's only one metaverse. Not everyone can go to all parts of it, but there's going to be only one metaverse. So we now have a factory sat in this virtual space that can be visited and can be explored. Now, who's going to explore it? Well, people are. And so the people that work at the factory may need to go and look at what's going on, or to train themselves in how to deal with a situation that might be coming up, or become familiar with where a machine is. So we're now at the point of people going into these virtual environments to engage with that digital twin and with one another. And that's just operational stuff. That's saying this is about to break, this needs fixing. So you can look to see if it needs fixing. Oh, I'm going to have to take a ladder with me because I can see it's high. Tiny little piece of information like that make the manufacturing more efficient. Now, once you get to that point of having that digital twin and it being operational and it being firing off all these kind of wonderful predictive maintenance things, you now have an asset that is of use for other things. That asset can be used to train people. So you can take maybe a copy of it, keep it running in a simulation, so it's almost the same thing, but it's not the real one because you don't want to mess with that, but you're now training in a virtual environment to work out what to do. So you can train staff before they need to do stuff. You can rehearse repairs. You can train for safety. You can do all the things that make sense to do. Whether you're doing with headsets or on flat screen doesn't really matter, or in AR. But you can also, and this is being done, you can also use that as an environment to train autonomous robots that are going to operate in that factory. You don't want to be training an autonomous robot tripping over people, bumping into things, setting fire to things, when you can do it in a virtual environment. The robot doesn't know, has its brain has no conception, its AI has no concept of whether it's in a physical one or a virtual one, but it can be trained in millions and millions of situations to be the best robot it can be through the digital twin. Now, that again is operational stuff. Now, what if you want to make a change to your production line, or there's a change in supply, or there's a change in temperature or something like that, or there's a weather front coming? What do? You run simulations. Manufacturing already runs simulations, but you can now run bigger simulations on full digital twins of the entire process and see what's going to happen. And you can run hundreds of thousands of those. It's again huge amounts of data that you're dealing with. But it's an IT problem, and it's a business problem, and it's an engineering problem, and they're all kind of coming together into this environment. And then finally, that's all operational stuff. What happens if you're trying to build the factory in the first place? Lots of things are built with computer-aided design, so we start with digital design, but now those digital designs are becoming the digital twin when they become instrumented, particularly with the IoT pieces of information. So you go from a factory that doesn't exist, that you train people on before it's built, and you train robots on before it's built, and you optimize before it's built, and you have predictive maintenance ready before it's built. You have a digital asset. Once you've built the thing, you then run that digital asset side by side with it to do all these other wonderful things that I just talked about. That is all happening and starting to happen increasingly in areas such as manufacturing, because it is so much easier and cheaper and efficient to run these digital systems. Now, that's going to sit alongside the interesting stuff and the social stuff that goes on with us just trying to communicate and lark around with gaming and all those things, but it's all using the same technology. It's all using the same 3D engines. It's got a huge amount of data under it, and it needs a whole lot of science and engineering to make these things work. And so if you work for that, and you work in that, and you get interested in that, great. There's a whole set of career stuff to be involved there, but that's all transferable stuff, because that stuff can be applied into the $200 billion games industry, and vice versa. There's obviously slightly different things around narrative and stuff like that, but anything in this field and these emerging technology fields is going to stand you in good stead for your future. That's me. Bernie.
Great, thanks very much, Ian. My name is Bernie Scott, and I'm Director of International here at BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT. I've been with BCS for about 10 years, working with our international partners, such as Gulf College, and helping them with their training and certification needs in the IT space. So I've got a few slides as well, so I'm just going to share my screen, which should come through now. So BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT, who are we and what do we do? So we're all about making IT good for society. And something that Ian mentioned is a specialist interest group that he's chair of, the Animations and Games Specialist Group. So we do quite a lot of things within BCS, and one of them is our membership element. And with that, we have different specialist groups connecting experts or those interested in different fields, whether it's animations and games, whether it's green IT, diversity, or technical specialist groups such as business analysis or software testing. So we do a lot of connecting and facilitating network of peers or those with an interest in IT. Our mission is making IT good for society. So we're all about promoting and advancing the education and practice of computing for the benefit of all, which creates our vision for a competent and ethical profession and a society that's resilient and thriving in a digital world. And it's quite interesting, some of the examples that Ian was talking about in terms of being able to use the metaverse for training, whether it be robots or automated devices or people themselves in particular roles. And so a lot of what we're looking at as well is around the ethics of AI and ensuring that it's being used or will be used in the right way. We achieve our outcomes by supporting careers through facilitating things like professional development and supporting members and others working in IT at every stage of their career. We share expertise, so through facilitating expert networks and our different specialist interest groups, through improving education and working in partnerships, through influencing practice and consulting with industry, academia, and government to inform and shape policy, regulation, curriculum, and best practice. So in terms of what I'm going to speak a little bit about today, it's our professional certifications that we offer through Gulf College. So we offer quite a variety of different certifications in technical and non-technical roles. I'm going to go into a bit of detail about what this means in the AI space. But before I do, what is the value of certification? Why do I need it? And so the need to upskill to stay relevant has never been more prevalent. When it comes to meeting new tech trends, enhanced IT skills amongst the existing workforce is rated as the top requirement amongst IT leaders. And over 70% of candidates who've taken a certification did it to upskill, citing a need to obtain a particular skill, knowledge, or competency. 89% of candidates who have taken a certification, a professional certification, not necessarily a BCS one, but anything that helps them in their career development, recommend certification to someone hoping to begin or advance their career in technology, whether they are starting out, looking to change careers, or to continue their professional development. And so why does industry care? Why does an employer care about certification? What is the value to them? And so as the pressure on the IT departments continues to rise, there's an increased need for new ways of thinking about and performing tasks. And the expertise gained from certification is the best way for professionals and decision makers to ensure team and organizational success. One of the biggest difficulties that we're facing across multiple countries is the retaining of talent, and there's a huge skill shortage within IT anyway. And so it's widely known that employers investing in their employees reduces their turnover and increases productivity. And employee turnover is a significant financial loss for a company. And when employers cover the costs for certifications and training, employees are less likely to seek new opportunities outside of the company. So it's all about retaining talent, enhancing the existing workforce with their IT capability and skills and knowledge and competencies to ensure the success from a company and an individual perspective. So there's a wide variety of careers in IT. Some careers that you might not necessarily associate as a career in IT. There are technical and non-technical roles. So technical such as software testing, non-technical such as roles within project management, business analysis. And with the developments in technology and what Ian and Professor Mark were talking about with Metaverse, there's also a lot of roles out there that have yet to be created that will focus in these areas. So in terms of what we do at BCS from a professional certification space, we look at 5 core subject areas. So we look at cyber, data, AI, business analysis, and software testing. And we work with industry and academia to create the right curriculum and syllabus and assessment needs to ensure that industry can upskill the staff and fill the IT skills gaps that they have. In terms of Gulf College, they're accredited to deliver a wide range of BCS certifications with our entire artificial intelligence pathway, from essentials to foundation to our individual awards in data visualization, smart robotics, and looking at AI and ethics and how that all ties in together. Outside of AI, Gulf College also deliver elements, certifications in blockchain, cyber, data protection, agile, and a whole host of others. So I also wanted to speak a little bit today about professionalism and how the certifications from a professional perspective sit in with an individual's career aspirations. So our certification and levels generally fit across 3 areas of foundation level, program practitioner levels, and higher. And we've mapped this into Sophia Plus. So Sophia is a skills framework for the information age. And there are different levels within this that I'll go into in a little bit more detail later on, but it's from levels 1 to 7. And so at a foundation level certification, you're looking at that mapping into a level 1 to 3, which corresponds at a career perspective to somebody at a very entry level role, who's someone who is looking for some foundational support in that area, or is looking to move careers and to get into that space. Your practitioner type certifications are looking at Sophia Plus levels 4 and 5. So they're very much practitioners, they have technical expertise, they manage a team. And then the higher level looks at the Sophia Plus leveling 6 and 7, which are very much your experts, your thought leaders, your CIOs, your CTOs, and your executives. Within BCS as well, we also champion professional standards. So we have a number of standards, but two key ones within the IT space. And one is RIT Tech. And RIT Tech supports those at a foundation to practitioner level, recognizing core competency for those working at Sophia level 3 or above. Whereas those working at a strategic level, wanting to recognize this skill and competency, can look at our chartered IT professional register of standards. Both of these are public registers that you can go onto and that employers can check as well. And then it ties into our membership grades as well. As a professional membership body, we have different membership grades at associate, professional and fellow level. So we're very much support an individual's progress through their lifelong learning and as they develop their career in IT. So I'm going to speak a little bit about our artificial intelligence certifications, the type of things that you would learn and who it's aimed at, who would be interested in these type of courses. So artificial intelligence is an area of computer science that involves building smart machines that are able to perform tasks which usually require human intelligence. And advances in deep learning and ML, or machine learning, have allowed AI systems to enter almost every sector in the tech industry. AI allows organizations to make better decisions, improving core business processes by increasing both the speed and accuracy of strategic decision-making processes. And now more than ever, artificial intelligence is used both from a business and a consumer standpoint. Some real-world examples would be some of the advancements that AI have made and contributed to the growth of the automotive industry. So through the creation and continued development of self-driving cars, artificial intelligence in self-driving vehicles learns how to brake safely, change lanes, prevent collisions, and how to navigate and use maps. It also helps us in our everyday lives with monitoring our heating, telling us the weather, to collating election results and scanning faces through CCTV. And from a business perspective, businesses and leaders are implementing AI without necessarily knowing the impact of it, while consumers are using AI without necessarily knowing the effect it may have on their lives. And with technology being used more and more, there's a demand for professionals who know how to use and harness it in an ethical manner. And this is something that the BCS Professional Certification AI pathway is looking to address through the current skills gap in AI and by providing a journey for career changers. So some of the greatest barrier often to the implementation of AI is a lack of qualified professionals. On a number of job websites, the 3 most in-demand skills are around areas that you find in artificial intelligence, in machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. And almost half of companies are concerned about becoming obsolete within the next 5 years, and they recognize that to survive they need to become more digital. And so with that, AI can automate much of the mundane administrative work and repetitive tasks that employees use to spend hours on, enabling them to focus on more creative, analytical and strategic work that can give their organization a competitive edge. And so there's no quick and easy solution to the AI skills gap, but by following a 3-pronged approach around training staff in data and AI skills, infusing AI technologies to automated mundane tasks and freeing up human workers to upskill, and using AI, for instance, to streamline things such as hiring, companies will do a lot, companies will be doing much to close the talent shortage in that space. So there's a lot of different roles out there for AI. I've included just a couple to give you an example of some of the specific roles, the specific jobs out there that exists within the AI space, such as data scientists, machine learning engineering, and so on. And within BCS, the certification pathway that we have is an essential certificate program in AI, a foundation level program, and our foundation pathway, which is a bite-size awards program within the AI space. And so the AI foundation pathway offers a unique way of achieving certification in AI with bite-sized learning through the awards. It aims to provide both professionals and consumers with the knowledge they need, not only in AI careers, but also within a host of other IT roles that will touch on AI, such as business analysis, software testing, agile, and so on. And this is broken down into 4 different subject areas around business innovation, data, ethics, and machine learning. And so you can delve in and pick and mix the areas that are of most interest to you or to your business. And I've just pulled out a couple of the awards to give a little bit more information around what's involved with them. So in terms of data visualization, this gives us a clear idea of what the information means by giving it visual context through maps or graphs. It makes the data more natural for the human mind to comprehend, and therefore makes it easier to identify trends, patterns, and outliers within large data sets. It's designed for anyone wishing to gain an understanding of how data is used to make decisions in an organization and the importance of presenting accurate data in a way that enables decision making to happen. Smart robotics, so smart products, robotics, and automation. This is really about building your core knowledge of how these are used, where they're being used, and the level of maintenance that they require. So it's designed for digital professionals who are looking to build their technical knowledge in AI and machine learning with a focus on individual components. A lot of these certifications have digital exams. These ones in the pathway are a 30-minute exam, and it ranges can go up to a 60-minute exam. All the syllabus and specimen papers are available on the website and through Gulf College as well. And then finally, the other 2 areas of certification within AI is our essentials level certification, which is designed for people who want to understand the context of AI in an industrial setting and who may need to implement it in their organization, followed by our foundation certificate in artificial intelligence. And so this is really about learning the general principles of AI, its potential implications and capabilities, and how to assess AI products and services from multiple angles. And it very much looks at the ethical and sustainable human and artificial element within that. So I think I've gone over my time a little bit, so I will end there, Dr. Hytham, and hand back over to you.
Yeah, stop sharing. Thank you so much, Ben. Okay, now we will start reading the questions and answer them one by one. Now, one direct questions to Ayan, Dr. Ayan. I think you mentioned this in your talk, but now they need more clarification about where do you see or what do you see Metaverse in 5 to 10 years?
Okay, well, it is the as you kind of mentioned, it's the ongoing evolution of our ability to communicate online. So, you know, predictions about, I mean, back in 2006, we thought everyone would be using the metaverse now, but instead everyone went to social media, and then people were saying, oh, well, we're not going to do video conferencing or any of this online stuff. And then the pandemic hit and everyone had to do it. So I think lots of people are experiencing ways for us to communicate and the disadvantages that some of them have. As I said, I've kind of mentioned that this isn't the same as us being there. So the evolution of the metaverse is to make it as good or sometimes better than being there. And so that is the evolution. And Prof. Mark had some examples, the things around how we feel and see and sense and smell and taste, the things of where we should be. Lots of that kit already exists. I've got a haptic vest down there. I can go into a, it's entertainment, where I can go into a virtual nightclub and feel the beat of the music. As those things evolve and become more normal and acceptable and generations kind of move through, then this just becomes absolutely normal interaction online. And whether it's on a screen, whether it's on a headset in VR, whether it's people appearing next door to me through augmented reality, it'll be a blend of all those. But it's not going to be sort of one massive single user interface that we get used to. So it'll just be the right things for the right tasks as we evolve as humans and as the technology evolves.
Thank you, Dr. Ayan. Now we will continue with this question to follow up a series of questions. Now questions to Prof. Mark. Prof. Mark, as you heard from Dr. Ayan, what will be in verse after 10 years. As a student, our alumni students as well, what kind of advice to them as a CPD or continuous professional development plan they should do to in order to handle that the career Ms. Bernie mentioned in her slides, that there are new career will be in IT, and with Ayan that there is plenty of jobs there will be there.
Okay, this is really a question about the world of work and how the world of work is going to develop, not just over the next 5 or 10 years, but probably over the next 30 years. I've been in education a long time, and quite a lot of students, they come on a particular course, whether it's an accounting course or a marketing course or a business course, and they do really well, and they get to the end of the course and they think, I'm finished now. I've got all the skills. I can now go into the world of work, and I can practice as an accountant or a marketeer or whatever. I have to say that world doesn't exist anymore, and you will have to continually learn throughout your career, and you will need to reskill. The concept of having a job and then having that same job for 30 years, I don't think it's going to exist. I think it's much more likely that you will have 2 or 3 jobs, and you will work part-time for company A and part-time for company B. And it may even be a bit like the Indian software market, where you're given a job to do, you're given a time slot that this needs to be completed in a month. You could complete it in 5 days and then go to the beach. Or you could take the whole month to do it and then complete it on the deadline. Now, the thing that really brought this to my attention was the top 10 in-demand jobs for our graduates now didn't exist 10 years ago. Things like web design, big data, artificial intelligence. And it's going to be the crossover. It's going to be people who have got an accounting qualification, but have also got knowledge of big data, who've got knowledge of artificial intelligence. These are going to be the people that are highly, highly in demand. So in career development, keep your options open, but have a plan of how you are going to develop your career over the next 2 years or 5 years. Being a member of a professional body is great, but also making sure that you are ahead of the curve and that you are learning about these new type of techniques and be able to put them into practice.
Thank you so much.
I just add to that, because I'm going to anyway. So, I started as a programmer. I'm still a programmer in my head. That's what I do. I put things together and engage with technology to make things happen. But the skills that I learned back then of how to break problems down, how to change things, how to move things, how to explain things to other people and to computers, have stood me in good stead through all the various kind of career alterations and changes. I'm still a techie, but when I wrote my novels, that was like a software engineering project. It had a design, it had some structure, it had some things I had to follow, I had targets I had to meet, and there were tests I was applying to it. The things that you learn, particularly I think from the tech industry, can be applied anywhere, and you can then go with the flow as well. And learning one programming language is the same as learning another programming language. People would get stuck and say, I'm only a C programmer, only a Java programmer. No, you're not. You're a programmer. Pick it up, get on with it, have a go at something else. And so it's a fantastic place to be.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as everyone knows that the bodies that close it to industries, those people who are professional bodies like Bernie and BCS. Bernie, can you show us the courses that we credit with you, so that, because there is a course says if I need to understand metaverse in deep or in academia or industry way, so which course can give me an essential or a foundation for this course? So Ayan will see the courses that we do have, okay, or how BCS can help our alumni students. Can you check, Ayan, here? Can you see the courses here we have? If people want to be in metaverse or want to understand, so what do you recommend them?
Well, metaverse is not a destination, it's the underpinning of all these things. As I said, when we're talking about digital twins, people engaging with the data, where does that live? It lives in the metaverse. So it's the same as the web and the internet and things. It's an underlying set of things. But any of the things relating to AI and to machine learning and to data and to how you deal with that, that's what the metaverse is. A huge amount of data. It's forming in all sorts of ways, and you saw the stuff about data visualization. That's it. That's, at the moment, data visualization might be, let's put it in a graph in a 2D thing, but increasingly you want to put those into 3D environments. You want to be able to wander through the data. You want to be able to see it change over time and be temporal, and those are all metaverse things. So whilst these aren't labeled as this is a course on the metaverse, that almost can't exist. There are so many layers to what this is, because it is human interaction with one another and with data, that most of this is around the underlying stuff, the technology that will drive it. So it's the data visualization and it's the AI. And I mentioned smart products. I mean, robots, automation, the things that are traversing the metaverse in order to learn how to traverse the physical world. Those are all extremely relevant. And anytime you do any AI modeling of stuff like that, even back in the 90s, we were talking about a blocks world for an AI. So you were talking about a virtual world to help see how an AI was solving a problem. And that's all kind of the output of these things. So this all fits.
Perfect. And now the question goes to Bernie. Bernie, and now those courses, as we discussed with Dr. Ayan, they may give them the foundation or the essential information. But continue with the Prof. Mark, he said continuous in learning. So I think if they pass, there is such kind of membership with BCS that will group with the metaverse people like Ayan. He's with BCS, so students can directly ask him something like this.
Absolutely. So once anyone sits any of our professional certifications, such as the Foundation Certificate in AI, they get access to membership at BCS free for a year. And this allows them to link up with our mentoring support group that we have. So you can get a mentor within the IT space, within a particular area you're interested in. You can join different specialist groups. So Ian is chair of the animations and game specialist groups. So there's a lot of networking and opportunity to meet people at every stage of their career in IT and learn from that. We also recently launched a, I suppose, our own version of a social media type platform discourse, which really just allows our members to connect with each other from a peer-to-peer space much more easily and allows that flow of information.
Great. If Ian tell us more about the group that he's leading, this will help our teachers who want to take lead of these courses in this community.
Okay, so yes, the animation and games specialist group is one of many groups. So there's things about data and banking and security and just things that people are interested in. So these are peers that come together, and we explore where we can help as BCS, because and particularly like the games industry is not very well represented, despite being a tech industry, and we're trying to help those people have a better career path and all the benefits that I had when I worked at IBM, particularly in the very early days. We were the guinea pigs for a lot of this certification, and it to have this framework and to have people that you can kind of talk to or look up to or follow or shadow, whatever. All that is incredibly useful, and then to find people that are interested in things that you're interested in and to hang out and geek out and do presentations and see things and share things. That's what the specialist groups do. And say animation and games is on the fringe of what traditional IT is, apart from now it's not, because that's all metaverse stuff.
Great. Now the other questions comes from teachers who may teach these courses. Now the question is, since the majority of those courses, the teaching materials comes from BCS itself. So Perrin, can you tell us how they designed the learning outcome and how they mapped with Sophia that the professionalism that you explained us?
Absolutely. So all our courses are written with industry and academia experts in their respective fields. So we create the different syllabus for the different certifications where all the learning outcomes are available on our websites. And so we've linked this in with Sophia Plus, so Sophia being the skills framework for the information age. And that just helps to map where you are in your career and looking forward to, you know, if you're at an entry level, you're at a level 3, for instance, and you want to see what you need to do to get to a level 4 or level 5, it provides insights as to the type of projects or work that you should be doing, the type of certifications or training that you should be going on, not necessarily BCS specific, but for your specific field. It gives you guidance on how to continue your career. And as Mark said, continue your lifelong learning within your career, because the world we live in, as Professor Mark was saying, it's not one job now for your life. People move around and you need to continuously develop yourself and your skills to stay relevant in an ever-changing world.
Okay, thank you. This answers the questions, what's the IT majors or specialization in next 10 years? As Prof. Mark answered these questions, I think there is no more traditional jobs that you go for a long time. It's kind of tasks or assignments that you should do, so that you have to upskill yourself to fulfill that requirement or that job requirements. Okay, now good that you are in this level, because here in Oman recently they issued Oman framework qualifications that students can after high school choose to go professional pathway or to go academia or to go the other two types. So now if we try to link this with Oman or with the UK framework, let's say for the foundation, for example, when we say Sophia Plus level from 1 to 3, means in the company, in the career, it's clearly entry level. Okay, which means with the 1 year, 2 year experience, can you tell us according to the experience, let's say how many experience should I have if I am in practitioner, let's say, or higher level?
Yes, let me just kind of pull up a little bit more information while I talk around it. So the Sophia Plus, as I mentioned, so Sophia is an IT skills framework designed to help organizations plan, manage and develop their skills. And it's an umbrella framework that incorporates profession-specific needs. So we've broken it down across job role needs, skill level and the responsibility. So the first element around the job role needs is around the knowledge, the behavioral skills needed within a role. So there are a lot of tech roles out there, but there's also a need to be able to speak with other departments, speak with other stakeholders, and being able to get the soft skills element across if you want to progress in an IT career and get to some of the senior levels. So what we've done is we've mapped out the skills level in terms of where you are. So from a level 1 to level 3, so you're, as Dr. Highton was saying, you're a entry level, so you're following, you're assisting in roles, you're applying some of what you know in a technical capacity. Whereas when you get to the levels 4, level 5s, you're enabling other teams, you're facilitating, you're advising on how to be successful. And level 6, level 7, it's all around influencing, setting strategy, and inspiring others within your organization. And what we have done, which is something that you also get through your membership, is you get access to a free Sophia Plus tool, which helps you map where you are in your career. If we look at the responsibility levels at business skills, complexity, influence, autonomy, so what Sophia Plus does is shows you where it shows you where you are in terms of those 4 headings. So and it gives you specific examples. So in terms of showing you where you are now, what you need to do in order to get to the next stage. So it provides that granular support across the different job roles and helps to guide you in terms of where you are from a job roles need, skills need and a responsibility need as well.
Great. And all this information will be linked with the membership, the type of membership that you mentioned, associate, professional, and fellow, I think. So can the students or teachers jump to fellow direct, or they should follow a plan, modules they have to take, they have to finalize?
So really, it depends where somebody is within their career. So we have different levels, and on our website, we help to guide you as to which is the right level for you to apply for. Is it a student membership? Is it a professional membership? Is it a fellow? So really, it depends where you are in your career, the type of experience that you have. So it's hard to say without a specific example, but we have a different membership grade for wherever you are in your career. But regardless of the membership grade, you get access to the same level of content, information and support of the BCS membership.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, before we close, just 3 minutes, can you go back to the courses that I will mention what Ayan has chosen, that when will be our exam and the courses? Ayan mentioned data visualization, I think, and AI. So we have scheduled this one. We have scheduled all AI foundation after Eid for last week in July. The course will be, as well as in data visualization and big data, it will be in mid of August. Okay, after the webinar, I will send you the registration link so that you can have a quick look on the syllabus that you will study and what is linked with the metaverse and how this will help you understanding more yourselves and your skills that Prof. Mark mentioned. You are doing such kind of professional development planning with the membership. Now, a last question to Bernie: if the students pass the exam, will get any membership free for 1 year or something?
Yes, they'll get professional membership free for 1 year. So once they successfully sit and pass the exam, they'll get an email inviting them to apply for the membership, and that will be free of charge at the professional membership level.
At the professional membership. Okay, good, great. Thank you so much. Let me just have a quick look for the last questions. Yes. No. Thank you. We answer all of them. Thank you so much, Bernie. Thank you, Ayan. Thank you, Prof. Mark. Would you like to say any sentences before we close, Prof. Mark?
I think that the future is really, really bright, but to do well career-wise in the future, you're going to need to continually learn new skills, develop your network, and make the best use of professional membership, whether it's in computing or marketing or general management. There are going to be loads and loads of jobs, but you're going to need to have the right skills to be able to get those jobs.
Ayan, thank you so much, our expert on Metaverse. What do you say to our students and alumni and teachers as well?
Well, the next generation is going to be inventing and creating whatever the Metaverse is going to move into. And just Prof. Mark said, I think just being open to constant change and to enjoy learning new things or finding patterns that you already know and applying them to a different space is incredibly important. But of course, now, unlike when I was a lad, the network that you can form, particularly through social media and through bothering to share what you're doing and write about it and, you know, get involved with open source projects and things like that, you can have a portfolio of experience online like we've never done before. And so if you've got ideas and you can gather together with friends and build something, just go and build it. I mean, make sure you share, and the more you share, the better that's going to be for everyone. And it's also going to be good for your career, because you can say, I did that, I did that, I did that, and you can point back to stuff that's going to be, you know, history in 10 years time, but people will go, wow, I didn't realize you knew that at the time. So yeah, just enjoy.
Okay, thank you. Bernie, how BCS will help us to understand the Metaverse more through those courses?
Yeah, I think it's something that BCS do is there's a lot of information out there about every type of subject, and something BCS do is helps to curate what are trusted sources, trusted pieces of information, as there's a lot of fake news out there. So I think that's one of the key benefits that BCS can help to support. The other element is just touches on what Prof. Mark and Ian was saying. I think, you know, updating and upgrading your skills and competency are essential to continue your developments and continue to move into different types of careers and roles. But to enable you to do that successfully, I think networking is key, whether that's through a professional membership body like BCS or through a social media platform like LinkedIn. Getting out there, sharing what you're doing, as Ian was saying, and being more visible and connecting with, you know, like-minded individuals, I think is the way that you will have a successful future in this space.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And this is the end of our today's session. Thank you so much. Thank you, speakers. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Thank you.